Hey everyone, what's going on? Happy Monday. Hope you're enjoying your Monday, right? That's kind of what we want you to do here as I record this video, and you see my OBS screen. And what is new, everybody? That is that is always the question. I am really trying to start this YouTube page, and I would love for people to subscribe. I currently, thanks to YouTube, I got to a certain threshold where I can take donations. You can subscribe to the channel, and I'm willing to share some of my success, my bets. I'm going to show you what I did yesterday. If you watch my short, I need to step it up. I'm getting too wimpy in my bets. I've been doing, we'll look at this first. I've been doing the scale down betting. And what does scale down mean? Well, oh, wait a minute. I don't, what is going on? I take the different odds. I take the odds that have I'm in mass, right? Okay, it doesn't matter. So, as you can see, I don't know what happened here. I got to talk to FanDuel. I did not cash this out. I don't know what happened. Um, that I cashed out because I lost it. So, Amon-Ra St. Brown this year in was it six all but one game he had at least 70 yards. So that is a clip of in the 80%. Uh, his odds of minus 220 to get 70 I thought were generous. For 220 at about an 86% clip over the last 16 to 18 games, this guy's getting 70 yards easily. I thought that should have been more like a minus 400. The 100-yard, this was a mistake by the books in a game that I didn't see any possible way. And this is what you got to do when you're betting in DFS. I don't think anybody, and maybe this is because the Chargers played great defense against the Jets, but I thought the books had a lot of these props easily obtainable for the game script. It's a 48.5 over under. I don't think anyone thought that game was going to go under. Maybe people had reservations about Detroit playing outside, or I don't know. I did not. I thought that game would do what it did. And St. Brown, 5 of 7 games, at least 102 yards. That was a plus yesterday. I should have taken it. I didn't. Because this is pretty much what my bankroll. I play $46 a bet. I bet every day too. But I thought if you're looking, and this is just a little betting advice. If you're a DFS player, I think you have a huge advantage. Any fantasy football player, when you know the matchups, to look at the books. If you see a game like this, easily could have gotten to even more points. But if you know a game in your heart, which I did, is going to go over 50, 55 points, scour these guys and look at the alternate, and I could have put a double bet on this and won $40. And he got to this in the first half. All right, so those are just some things there. Let's recap. I had a good week. I'm so pumped up. I want to show you my couple of other things. I'm in one of these survival. I've survived 10 weeks of this. This is great that Cincinnati lost because that knocks a lot of people off. 35% of the bracket is gone. So I'm on to week 11. Who should I take? You can see that I picked the Ravens. I wouldn't pick them. I'd stay away from that. Staying away from this. Even this game, I know I know that this point spread, but still, I'm probably going to go Houston or Jacksonville just because of the way Jacksonville played. And if I can get them at 2%, I think Houston, though, should be a good one. But I've picked a lot of teams, and I'm not going to pick Denver. So tough for Cincinnati and Baltimore. They both have losses right at the end of the game, and they're playing Thursday. You know, I don't ever like to say that something is unfair, but how fair is it late in the year that these good teams, Cincinnati has to play Houston, and then 4 days later plays Baltimore. Baltimore plays a division game against Cleveland, and then they have to play Cincinnati, another division game. I don't know. I know they get the time off after, but huge game, both teams. Um, I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know if I can pick against. You know, this could be the season if Cincinnati loses. Um, I mean, look at Pittsburgh, 6-3, unbelievable. My season-long teams are kicking ass this year. I'm going to go to 7-3 here. You see, I'm going to win easily. I already won that, and I won this one. I'm going to go to 8-2. Um, I don't know why Keenan Allen. This was a late round pick. My team is loaded. I picked him off waivers because Mahomes. I mean, look at that: Murray, Olave, Allen, Taylor, Etienne, who didn't have a good game. I got Kincaid tonight. Harris. I mean, this is a great team. I had picked up Mitchell this week. My other team. This is a keeper league team. Bryce Young, because I have Jalen Hurts, so who cares? I'll drop Young, but 5 points. I thought I was going to lose this week. This guy probably thought, hey, he got 5 points on Thursday night. Look at this. Evans, Allen, Kamara, White, Hawkinson, Tank Dell, with Mitchell on the bench, with, you know, some guys coming back. And, you know, I don't know about this team going forward, but 8 teams make the playoffs in this league, which is a joke. So I think the regular season's 14, so I might clinch a playoffs. I think it's 14 weeks, so I can clinch a playoff spot by winning next week, I believe. Yeah, because I think he lost already, so he'd be 4-6. Yeah, so I have a chance to clinch a playoff spot, which is great. Everything worked. My survival pick, my 2 leagues, I had a really good week. I had one of the highest scores. I'm going to show you. I track everything. I won the first 3 in terms of my DraftKings. As you can see, my buy-in was low. My bankroll was lower. It's gone up. As my bankroll's gone up, 80% goes to cash games. I don't care. I do the 80-20 rule. I like that. To each his own, you know. I'm sticking with things, and I'm learning this, and I think you need to learn this too. I can give people advice and guide people a bit, and I think you definitely have to have a process. And I've learned from people. There's Al Smizzle. Follow Al on YouTube. He's the best. Please follow him. And I've learned a lot from him. There are principles of DFS in terms of stacking, second. You've got to follow a process. I see cash games with people with multiple players from the same team. You know, in cash games, you don't need to shoot for the moon. You want a balanced lineup. You want high floor guys. You don't need to do, you know, like I saw a lot of Burrow, Chase, Boyd, Dell, and Brown in cash games, which it did pay off, but you don't need to do that. You don't. There's principles. I'll go over some of my principles, but you can see I did 115 buy-in, did a 95 in cash, which I did really well. I won all my cash games except 6. My head-to-heads, I struggled a bit. 7-6 in head-to-heads, won all my 50-50s and double-ups, and got some returns. So $72 I'll take. You can see my cash game score. You can see where the cash game has been. It's amazing. I shoot for 150 every week. I believe this week 150 did not do it, but 150 is safe. So what I look for is 3 times total salary. 50,000 is what you. We'll go to one of my cash game lineups. So you have 50,000 to spend. You don't. I try to get 3 times from every player. Not every player is going to give you 3. So like in terms of Brock Purdy, let's do the Purdy um, plus 6,200 of Mixon, because Mixon didn't get to where I liked. That equals 11.9 times 3 equals, you need about 36 points, right? 35.7. Look at this. So these two guys equaled the 3 times. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. Like, I know that I'm not going to get 3 times from everybody, but I believe I can. Johnson crapped the bed, but St. Brown at 8,300 times 3 equals, that's 25 points. 83 plus 54 times 3 the salary. You see what I'm doing? So I needed 41 points combined between St. Brown and Johnson. And even with a dud, he got to about 36, only 5 short. Boyd hit. McBride, easy cash game play. Easy. So let's go over what I did here. All right. Some of my locks didn't perform well. The 2 snowflakes, which I thought were the easiest plays of the week. All right. So what is my process? I'm going to, you can see this in other videos. I will certainly show you. But the first thing I do tomorrow morning, we're recording this on a Monday, is, and I can show you this too. We'll take this down. Look at where I had Gibbs. I don't think I played a lot of Gibbs. I go through and put this together. And this gives me some type of, a feel of the slate. Love home favorites. You could see yesterday, most of the home favorites perform well. Obviously that. Games to target. And I didn't have a crap load of Dallas in my GPPs because I thought, Pollard would be the guy. But look at Dallas, Cincy, Seattle, Detroit, San Fran Chargers. I mean, that actually played out pretty darn good. If you just went even, Atlanta up, and you went into whatever service you use. I use Fantasy Labs. And you made a mix of players just from this, right? Pollard, doesn't matter how we spelled it. Lamb, Cooks, Ferguson. You just go through. And you could do that if you wanted. Now, obviously, things aren't going to go as planned. But, for most part, I mean, I thought the Houston point total was low. So I've told people this. Feel free to make your own predictions. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you think, I think that's going to be a little closer. Doesn't that change your mind just by, okay, Vegas had 20, but you had 25. So then all of a sudden, this is good for tournaments, Houston is in your pool. I'm getting better, and I'm still not to the point. I have a hard time taking stands, and I think I play too many quarterbacks in my GPPs. But do something. This just gets you thinking about the slate, and then things. And then I go over here, and I'll plug in guys I like. I'll do guys I like. This is my cash games. Then guys I like in tournaments, stacks, and I'll do this. I'll write the stacks out. Like I had Burrow, Chase, Boyd with a run back of Dell. I could do Brown, etc., etc. Okay? I'm not saying you need to copy this for verbatim, but you got to have some kind of system and process before you put the lineups together. And that's what I did. So for me, and what I've learned from Al Smizzle, and I'll put Al's YouTube page in the description here. It'll be in the description. You can click it right now. All right? I don't mind if you go watch Al. He talks about 5-box running backs. And I love, I wrote this down. $5 running backs that are at home, are favored, going to have close to 20 touches involved in the passing game inside the goal line. So I thought it was very easy this week. Mixon wasn't great, but he did score. But I thought this is where I start. I start with running backs because they're the guys that are going to touch the ball the most outside the quarterback. Quarterback I pay down on DraftKings because, as you can see, and we'll go to DK Live, which is another great thing for you guys to look at. This is the scoring. This will give you, you should look at scoring each week. All right? And I thought about playing Dak in cash game, but, you don't have to because with it being that kind of game where I knew they were going to blow them out, you thought the running back would and he got stuffed at the one, I think, a couple times. Not a great day for Pollard. No involvement in the pass game. Their passing game is just so good, but I just thought, this week, and this could have been a stretch because he hasn't shown a lot, and if I had to do it over again, maybe I would have gone to Lamb here and gone cheaper at running back with maybe I thought about that, like a Harris, but I wasn't going to play two, Harris instead of Johnson. But so I went with the home favorites, Mixon, White, who is involved in, again, the passing game and the running game, and this is just so good. And at 5,800, I thought was an easy play, and I thought Pollard was an easy play. That was my process there. Then my other gimme was this. I just figured, and I don't know if the matchup was bad or anything. This could have told a little bit of the story. How bad Green Bay's rushing defense was. The type of team Pittsburgh is. So maybe this was not the best play, but I still figured, look at this game where they scored 20 points. He still had 9 targets, and his target share has been really good in the first 4. And at 5,400, again, I'm looking for 3 times the value. 16 points, which is a, 8-85. But it can even be lower if he scores a touchdown, right? 5-50 and a touchdown. Now, touchdowns are tough to get, but I figured that was obtainable. This was my other gimme, and I was actually surprised at how high he was because of the price. I thought people would be turned away from Brown. This guy is so money. I mean, look at this. All but 2 with 100. All but 1, 71 yards plus. I mean, that's as bad as a game you're going to get. And look at this. So at 8,300, it's like 25 points. We already did this, right? That's all I need. How many times has he hit that? 3 times. 1, 2. Well, 1, 2. Twice. But I still thought this was an easy play. Yeah, and if you get 2.5 times on that salary, that will work too. But I still shoot for 3. So 21 points would have worked. Incredible. And in that game, I wanted a piece of... This was my dilemma yesterday, is I wanted each side of that game, and Guyton was in my player pool. I just didn't want to pull the trigger on him in cash game, and I didn't want to go Eckler. Could have always gone to Allen maybe, but in that 4 o'clock window, it wouldn't have made sense. If I would have went Allen, Brown, and I don't know if I could have gotten lower. What was Allen's cost? Oh, okay. So I could have gone to a 3,000 receiver, but was there a 3,000? See, this is the dilemma too. 3,000 receiver at 4 o'clock. Okay, so say if I went down to right, I would have lost 14 points here. 136, but I would have had. Oh, no, no, wait a minute. No, Allen was 8,800. Yeah. You see what I mean? So even putting Allen in here for Pollard, which I don't do, it was tough to get both sides of that game in cash games. I don't know if a lot of people did. I mean, I'm assuming that you don't need to finish first in cash games. This is probably a tournament lineup. I mean, that is. You don't play Dowdle in a cash game. This still, I mean, listen, this is a great lineup, but you don't need to do this in cash games. Um, this looks like a, yeah, so he wanted both pieces, and it worked. I give him credit. Um, but you don't need to do this. See the stack here? Because this pays out $12.50. All right? So you want to put safer lineups in. Look at 146 cashed. So, and then again, my other lock was McBride at 3,500. My other locks were going to be Arizona's defense, and I said no. I don't know what it was. I liked Minnesota at home. Look where they were owned, and 8 points. What was the best defense of the week? 49ers. That was not on the main slate. Browns sharp play. But you can see how, like, even Houston at 8 at 2,700. Like, in cash games, I mean, look at, like, from I mean, let's see, Chargers were -4, but like if you played even the Cardinals at 2,500, like, look at all the teams from 3 to 8 points. So yeah, maybe hindsight, I could have paid down more. I don't think that would have got me. But I went Arizona. Yeah, so if I went right, Arizona, I could have got up to Allen. But there's no need to, because in cash games, you're just shooting for top 50%. That's it. I play big cash game single entries. All right, so that leaves me to the quarterback. All right. I always pay down because look at the top 5. Even Prescott, for a home favorite of what, 17.5 points, 6,700. He was 1,000 less than Justin Herbert. So that's DraftKings in Vegas saying, we don't think this game, it's kind of, I don't know if they do this mentally. We think this is going to be, because historically, a game with that kind of spread leads to running backs scoring, right? That correlates. Low over under. I mean, that was a 38.5 point over under and a 17-point spread. You're thinking that Pollard's going to eat. So even if he does eat, they're going to score points, right? Like if they go 35-3 at half, he's probably going to be involved. That's a pretty low price. I considered in cash games and getting out of Pollard because he really should have been priced here. And I don't know what he is priced next week. I don't even know if the Cowboys are on the main slate. I'd now have to imagine. I haven't even looked at this. I just plugged a lineup in quickly. I'd have to imagine. Why am I... that he has to be the most expensive quarterback. So he went up 600, and that's at Carolina. So, yeah, that's more, I would think, of tournament play. This is going to be a sneaky play if he's healthy, by the way. And this will be a fun um, week 11. But look at the disparity. Look at the how close everything is. Like comparing this to defense. So if you went from Deshaun, I mean, look at 8,000 what you got from Jackson. But I would go from Deshaun Watson. Look at how all the scores, and look at the salaries. Look at how all these guys are about the same, right? Except Herbert and Prescott. But would Herbert have been worth paying almost 2,000 more, 2,200 more than Dobbs to get 7 points? Of course not. Now, I don't tell people to go, well, play Tyler Heineke. Now, he got hurt in this game, but I wouldn't play him anyways. But there is plenty of value at cheap price. This is a great cash game play. This was a great cash game play. I considered Dobbs. I really did. I had the cash game plays for quarterbacks I had were Howell, Smith, Dobbs, because I thought these guys could still put up points. I was considering Prescott. No on Stroud. No on Burrow either, because I wanted Mixon. And I just figured 6,800. That's a lot. Goff I considered. Mayfield no. Love, no. Kyler Murray I considered. And that's it. But I took this guy because he usually is involved in the passing game. I mean, he almost hit the bonus. 5,700. A team that was favored and in a close game. And I knew it would be low owned. Sometimes in these cash games, I do like a little leverage at certain positions. Receiver and quarterback and defense is where you can get a little different. And there's nothing wrong with getting a little different in 50-50s. And, that worked out. I had a really good GPP game in the 3 max, $1. I put up one of my highest scores of the year. Can I find it? Did he disappear on me already? Nope, here it is. So my 3 max, 191. I was 40th going into the 4 o'clock games, but I didn't have enough of the both sides of the Detroit San Diego game. You look at this. I mean, this guy didn't even have the Dallas game in there and won. But I really wanted a lineup with these two, and I didn't do it. And it's my fault. I should have. This is not the right lineup. So still, 51 points off first place. But I had a pretty good lead. And as you can see what I did here, I went, and this is the process. I double stack with a return. I try to do a secondary stack, Burrow to Chase and Boyd. I love that Chase, he was lower. Let's get to the percentage. I mean, 12%. This lowered because people were worried about him. Boyd was, out-owned him. Returned it with 2 guys. I decided to do a double, a complete game stack with Brown and Schultz. Singletary was popping in my fantasy labs optimizer, and I used previous. This is something you shouldn't do. I was biased from what he did last week, and I'm like, I'm not playing Singletary. And people who did got rewarded. This guy was popping too. I can't believe he was so low owned. I mean, look at his. This is 5. Think about this. What happens in this game, that messes with everyone. The tight end. What do you mean? What do you mean, Mike? Because if I were to show you this and said this is a receiver that you could play this week in cash games, would you play him? Like, I could have played him in a cash game, but I didn't. Look at this. This is wide receiver usage. He's $5,000. He's priced lower than Johnson, than Deontay Johnson. It's just right semantics that he's a tight end. This was a good week for a double tight end. Hawkinson, McBride would have been the play. I thought Schultz, who, 4 catches, 71 yards, 6 targets, one more big play, and he gets 100, and, say he gets 100, 600 and a touchdown, that's 25 points, you know? If I got 19 more from him, so that's what I did. And then I did a one-offs of Walker, Harris. I didn't do a secondary stack in this one. This one had a Stroud, Dell, Schultz, returned it with Irwin. I thought was a sharp play. Guyton, less than 1%. Pop it in my optimizer. Brown with the secondary stack. Tried Adam Jones, McCaffrey. Just didn't work out. This one didn't do well. Geno Smith to Metcalf. Smith and Jigba returned it with Dotson, who didn't have a catch. I believe he had 6 targets. No, he had 2 targets. Wow. And then I did Eckler and Laporta, that secondary stack. And another game stack of Mixon and Brown. See, this way in the Ravens is the one-off. You're just picking a few things to go right instead of trying, to pick 9 guys. Let's see. My other, I wish you could sort this. Some of my other GPPs. This one, single huddle, $5 entry. Finished 880 out of 4,800 people, which, I'll take. Did Prescott to Lamb and Ferguson. The play was Cooks. Returned it with Slayton, who didn't score. Look at the ownership, though. A lot of low owners. Looks like I did Eckler on his own, Mixon and Dell, and Ingram with the Jaguars. That did not work out, but still cashed. And that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all the love.